Welcome to the Pennsylvania Rock Show. Since 2004, we've been the home of Pennsylvania's unsigned rock, raw, loud, and unapologetic. From live radio to podcast and streaming everywhere, this is underground music without a filter. Turn it up, let it bleed. And now, here's your host, Bill Damiano.
Hey, it's Bill. You're tuned into episode number 810 of the Pennsylvania Rock Show. You just heard a brand new track from A Common Crown called Slow Down. We followed that with last week's guest and one of the newest tracks that we didn't play last week. It's Awaiting Abigail, and the song was Left Out. With me tonight on episode 810 is Nikki from Erro. Hi, Nikki. We've been talking off the air. I know lots of stuff.
Too much, probably, at this point.
So, first of all, Erro, like pronounced like bow and arrow, but where's it come from? It's interesting spelling.
I think there's a river in Italy named Erro, but it's an old Latin word. Sometimes ERO was the spelling, but it meant to wander. My friend Sean, who actually sang harmonies on a couple of the tracks on the latest album, he told me that he looked it up and it's a name of a dark spot on the dark side of the moon. I don't know how he found that fact out, but I was like, if it means something different to everybody, that's kind of cool too. I like the idea of a one-word name just for simplicity.
Well, it kind of goes, if it really is a dark spot on the dark side of the moon, it kind of goes with your album title, Shadowland, too.
Right.
That
will be the name of the next spot on the dark side of the moon will be Shadowland.
So, you're a multi-instrumentalist, and I was telling you off the air about my kids and what they play, but I didn't actually ask you what all you play because I wanted to save it for the Memorex portion of the show.
oh man, at this point I play everything. It started with guitar. I am a guitarist through and through, and if I can make the sound on guitar, I will do that because I just love it so much. Piano I'm still kind of fresh at, but I can get by. I can play to the songs. I'm not phenomenal at it, but it's there. Bass, drums, hand percussion. I played clarinet in band growing up, but it has been years since I've played an instrument like that. So probably be a couple more before I even attempt it. But yeah, I play a little bit of everything.
Can you pinpoint the moment when you knew you wanted to be a musician?
I don't have it on me. But there's a picture of me when I'm about 2 singing into the vacuum cleaner handle, and I'm playing I guess it was like a big brick remote control for our old TV my parents had, and I'm pretending to strum into it, and I'm singing into the vacuum. So very young age. I didn't know it would turn into this. It's just who I was. My parents, they were a lot older when they had me. So I grew up listening to 60s and 70s rock, like around the clock. I didn't even know what other music was until I went to school. And for me, I think that's integral because like the Beatles are definitely my number one band. And some people are not big Beatles fans, and I get that, but you can't deny like their songwriting ability. So I feel like taking all of that in at a young age is really like what taught me to write music, because 60s, 70s rock is when we really started using a lot of guitars. We started experimenting when it came to recording, like with computers later on and through the 80s. So like older music to me, it taught me to play.
I had a conversation with a student today about the Beatles, and I said, I'm not really a huge Beatles fan. I said, but
I knew
wait
it
a
was
minute.
Coming. I knew it.
I said, but I do like some of their songs. And they're like, well, which ones? So I had my phone in my hand, and I typed in Beatles songs. I started going through them. I'm like, okay, maybe I like them more than I thought I did. my thing with the Beatles, I'm more kind of like more like classic rock and metal and grunge, but at the same time, none of that happens without the Beatles. So in my eyes, the Beatles are up in that echelon because they needed to be there for what I like, but they're not my first choice to listen to.
I saw an interview with Kurt Cobain and they said, who's your favorite artist? And he goes, hands down, the Beatles. And that's so interesting for me because you listen to Nirvana's music and it's nothing like you wouldn't get that. But when you look at, you know, the chord progressions, where he put different parts of the song, how everything would kind of had a hook to it. You can definitely hear the influence when you like get into it, but like tonality, totally different world. But I wonder that too. And like, I've always wanted to write songs like the Beatles, and I can't sit down and write a song with something in mind and go, I'm going to make it sound this way, or I'll use that instrument. It will sound like that. My process is I'll be like walking, boom, a melody hits me. And I'm like, oh, that'll be great for guitar. Or like in the case of The Watcher, it was lyrics first, if your heart's not in it. And then I heard everything after that in my head. It was a matter of like getting out to the studio to record. So I can't write music in a certain way. It has to come to me. But it comes to me so often, it's not an issue. But I am like envious of people who are like, I'm going to make a Beatles-esque song because I wish I could do that.
Oh, it's great that you brought up The Watcher because our second segment, we're going to do something completely different than we usually do on the show. We're going to set Nikki aside for a moment, and we're going to talk to TK from DreamtheHeavy. And the reason we're doing that is because Nikki wanted to invite him on the show because he does some vocals on the Shadowland album, and he talks a little bit about that. But we have like 2.5 minutes before we go into our first segment. So, Nikki, do you want to talk about how that came about?
Well, I was writing the song. It was like done, but it didn't feel done. And I think that's like a distinction. You know if it needs something. And I don't know if you get this at all, but I was in like a Tom Petty phase at the time. And Breakdown by Tom Petty has those high vocals at the end of the chorus. And I'm like, it needs that. And like, they're barely in the song, in Tom Petty's song, but they make the song. You know, those like high vocals are everything to me. And I was like, The Watcher would really benefit from something like that. And I met TK years ago when he was in Black Cat Moan, and I knew his vocal type, and he's got those like soaring highs. And I was like, I'm just going to shoot him a message and see if he's got free time. And I was like wrapping the album up too. So it was kind of, we were pressed for time, but he made it work and it turned out great.
Yeah, I played Black Cat Moan, but didn't know anybody in the band back in the day. And then a few years ago, I went to Beast of the Berg, which Chip and the Charge Ups puts on yearly. And that was my first, the first time that I saw DreamtheHeavy live. And I've now seen them a handful of times and taken some photos for them too, which I love doing. But those guys are phenomenal. Like, there are a lot
Truly.
Yeah. So, and if you have a chance to go see them, definitely go do that. So what we're going to do, we're going to listen to The Watcher, which features TK. And then we're going to also listen to JMS, which I believe you said has a like hidden guitar solo in there. And that's the one you said that about, right?
Right.
Yeah. I only got to listen to about 30 seconds before you jumped on. I was like, I better listen to that. And I didn't make it through it.
I love hearing you call it JMS because to me and Mike and Aparna and a couple other people that were on it, it has another name. But I was like, we're going to put it out into the world as JMS and people are going to read into that in different ways. And I'm really curious. I want to hear what you You think it is, but you have to hear the song fully first.
I will get back to you on that. So we're gonna listen to that, then we're gonna see the TK segment, and after TK, I didn't mention what we're gonna listen to, so I'm gonna do that now. So after TK segment, we're gonna hear "I Wish I Knew" by Broom, and we're also gonna hear "Candy" by DreamtheHeavy, and we will be right back. Hey, it's Bill. We are back on episode 810 of the Pennsylvania Rock Show. With me now is TK from DreamtheHeavy.
Hello, Bill. Hello, people.
The idea here was we were going to have Nikki and TK together to discuss a collaboration that they did, but the schedules weren't working out. So this portion of the show is definitely pre-recorded. So I'm going to throw that out there. So TK, you did some collaboration with Erro and Nikki, and on the song "The Watcher."
Yes.
And
yes,
indeed. Want to tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Hello, people of the future. This is TK from DreamtheHeavy. Yeah. I want to thank Nikki for reaching out to me to collaborate. I'm a huge fan of collaboration. I love it. It keeps you well exercised. It makes you think outside of your comfort zone. And I'm a huge fan of creating in the studio. So when they reached out to me, it was an immediate yes. You know, it's like a good game night for me, you know? So when I went over to their space, to their studio, there was a lot of different Beatles paraphernalia around, and I knew I was in good hands. I knew that they were going to use the studio as a bandmate. And for those of you that don't know, Nikki is a multi-instrumentalist and just a great person to keep on your radar as their very creative soul and moving and creating and moving forwards. But yeah, it was interesting, walking in, we started talking, and there was one nice beautiful synchronicity of how I knew I should have been there is I was in the right place at the right time. They had a framed set list from a Pittsburgh band called Eleanor Walrus, if you're familiar with them. They're phenomenal. Not. They're a phenomenal Beatles tribute band, and I had just was a guest singer at their show at the Thunderbird Music Hall, I think like the week or two before. And I was scheduled to perform with them again. And I was like, oh, this is wonderful. So we had great conversation, about the Beatles and those techniques. But when Nikki reached out to me, they'd sent me a couple of their songs and, to give a listen to and to see how I wanted to contribute. And, it really was just the songs are well thought out. So there was chorus layers and stuff like that, just lending my voice, because when you're recording and you're using your own voice to do all of your choruses, it stays in a tonal range. So it's nice to get different people singing with you. It brings a nice round variety.
Yeah.
What's that?
Said it fills it in some.
It fills it in. It fills it in. And yeah, so I think, the one song, The Watcher in particular, it's oohs and ahs, but it's just it's great. It's like when Bowie collaborated, with Arcade Fire, or TV on the radio. It's like just oohs and ahs, and it's good. But it's like I said, Nikki's an amazing human being and a great musician that you should keep your eye on out there. And I love to collaborate with good artists.
If someone else wanted to collaborate with you, how would they get a hold of you?
Through social media, or come to a DreamtheHeavy show and strike up a conversation.
That's a great option because those are fun.
Yeah. But in all actuality, send your work to me, and if it resonates, and if my schedule resonates, as we're witnessing tonight, it's not always easy, to have, such, we're all very busy human beings in all aspects of our lives. So when the stars do align for you to have, a godlike creative moment, you seize the opportunity and collaborate, create something new that never existed before, help somebody create something new that never existed before. It's like putting two atoms together to make a new molecule. Please reach out. Find me on Instagram, TK Mundock or Monk TK, however you want to look at it, through DreamtheHeavy. But yeah, I'm always interested in listening to new music. Or come to see us. We have one more show coming up, in January. Yeah.
When is that?
That is on the 24th here in January. So, not that far away. Speaking of collaborating, I'm sure you're familiar with Chip and the Charge Ups.
I absolutely
am.
You're
familiar with Never Say Die. You're very familiar then with the bass player. Melina is just an amazingly talented, beautiful soul human being. And we did a benefit concert together, and they came up and asked, they wanted to celebrate their birthday, and they didn't want to do it in a normal, in an everyday fashion. They wanted to go to their perfect concert. So she grabbed 4 of her favorite local acts, and we're honored that she, wanted us to perform. So that's at, it's a new venue that we haven't played at. That's Side Quest on 44th. And that's January 24th. And you can pre-sale tickets or get them online.
Chip and the Charge Ups.
It's called Melina.
No,
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I just want to say Melina Turning 24 Tour is what's looked up. Yeah, you can find it, I'm sure, on the Side Quest on 44th website as well. But yeah,
what I was going to say is Chip and the Charge Ups are how I actually met you the first time, because you were playing the Beast of the Berg. And
Beast of the Berg show.
And we were there because Rocky was emceeing and I was hanging out.
That's right. See, there's another beautiful connection. See?
And then we immediately said, you need to come do stuff with us.
Yeah, and thank goodness. I love being in your presence. I love talking to you, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So let's talk about DreamtheHeavy a little bit more. You said you guys are in the studio now?
Yeah, I'd mentioned how much I love the studio. I think being a painter, when you kind of like emote and you do something, you want a longevity to it. I love playing shows, and I love the idea when you go see a band, like jazz, it's that night, it's one time only. There's something very, magical about that. But when you're an artist and you want to go back and visit yourself as well. So I love using the studio as a canvas, and having something permanent. We're finally have the ability to record the songs that we've been playing out and with the crowd for the past year, and we're locking down. At the same time, we're writing new material because we have another bandmate now. Christopher Brenner joined us while Matthias was in Chile, and when Matthias returned from Chile, the two of them hit it off so well, and neither one wanted, it's a good family. So we have just another layer of sound. So we're recreating in a new sonic sonically in a new way as well. So looking forward to the second half of that. We're going to do an EP and then a second EP. And then I think the concept is to, we're going to put that together in a vinyl. And when we put it on vinyl, like a pressing, have little musical interludes connecting each song in a very cinematic way. So when you drop that needle, like we did when we were kids, you drop the needle and it goes the whole distance. And if it catches you, you flip it and you do it again.
Do it again.
So yeah, in this day of singles and, and whatnot, we're thinking about getting back to that tangible format. But I think what we're going to do is that, drop an EP and then drop another EP, and then it'll be a side 1, side 2, and release them together.
Do you have a release date in mind for that?
Last year.
Okay, then.
Yeah, we are going about it in a new way. And as much as we, deadlines do work in some aspects, they also could hinder new thought on something. You know what I mean? So we are allowing for the studio version to be different than the live version. We've been playing them out and working them with the audience. If we would just record them now, it'd be very stagnant. Like, we kind of want to get excited about it again, and we're trying a couple new things with it. So with these songs,
cool.
We don't want to. We're hoping for a summer release.
Make sure we know so we can follow up and get that stuff on.
Oh, I'd love to.
On both the show and Music from 4 and 2, and bring you back on.
Yeah, I'd love that.
But TK, I want to thank you for hanging out with me tonight and talking a little Nikki and Erro. Make sure you guys
everyone check. You're going to really enjoy them. It's wonderful.
And make sure you go to DreamtheHeavy.com for more DreamtheHeavy information. And we're going to take a break, listen to some music, and come back with Nikki here on episode number 800 and what did I say? 810. 810, I think. They run together at that point.
Congratulations. That's wonderful.
Thank you. Hey, it's Bill. We are headed into segment number 3 of episode 810. If I have not mentioned it yet, this whole episode is pre-recorded, so if you're trying to chat with us, not going to happen today. With me is Nikki from Erro, and the last segment we had TK from DreamtheHeavy, which wasn't even recorded on the same day. That's where we're at today, yesterday, 3 days ago, however this worked. So we heard The Watcher and JMS by Erro, and then I talked with TK, and then we heard Broom's song I Wish I Knew and Candy from DreamtheHeavy. Both those bands, Broom and DreamtheHeavy, are on Melina's 24th birthday tour, which is a show on January 24th that you definitely need to check out. That's Melina from Chip and the Charge Ups, and I can't remember her other band's name right now.
Right, she's the bass player for them, right?
Yes. And she plays bass in, man, I can't remember the other band's name. More recent development, but she's in another band and she does solo stuff. And she wrote a book about the Pittsburgh music scene. Check her out for sure. Okay, so now I'm going to hit you with some of my oddball questions.
Oh no, here we go.
So
I'm ready. Bring it.
Okay. If you could invite anybody in the history of the world to come sit down and eat dinner with you, and I'm going to put a cap of 4 people, and one caveat is at least one of them has to be a musician. Who would you bring in to have dinner with so you can talk to them?
Oh my goodness. 4 people, dead or alive, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Well, definitely Paul McCartney. I'm trying not to be that person, but I almost want to name all 4 Beatles. I'm going to name, the Beatles, all 4 of them. I would love to have seen their dynamic when they were younger, because all we have really are, like the documentaries that are on Disney Plus and the anthology. But I don't know if you're familiar. Did you watch that on Disney?
I
The
watched
Get Back
part of
documentary?
it. I did, which you probably don't believe because I said I'm not really a huge Beatles fan, but I did watch part of it.
But the dynamic of them, right? Like they were always joking. They knew each other like brothers. And eating dinner with them would be such a cool thing just to watch them interact. Because that definitely played into their musicality too.
Sticking with the back in time, you're leaving one of your shows and there's a DeLorean sitting there that's door up in the air and a flux capacitor in the back seat. So you can go anywhere in time. Where do you want to go, and what band, not named the Beatles, would you want to play with?
Oh, that's tough. Probably Fleetwood Mac. Would that be 77 would be when Rumors came out? Probably, probably Fleetwood Mac. And if we go back to my last album, Strawberry Moon, it would definitely, we'd be a great opener for Fleetwood Mac.
Speaking of that, let me real quick. I don't want to get the title wrong. I think it is Strawberry Moon. It's Strawberry Moon. I've played that song a ton on the rock show. And I also do occasionally a live broadcast called Build the Scene Radio on Music from the 412, and I played it on that too. I actually love that track.
Thank you.
So I didn't want to throw that out there, but I also didn't want to say the wrong name. In fact, that was when I saw the Shadowland stuff. I'm like, perfect. I can try and get her on to talk about her new album.
I know, I didn't do any lead up to it. And a lot of people, I just did a magazine interview earlier today, actually. And that was the one thing, why didn't you release singles? I think I told you a little bit about this, but I had extensive shoulder surgery. I had 3 surgeries last year. So a lot of the recording for Shadowland took place in between the recovery of those too. So that kind of gave it a whole different vibe as well. And stepping from Strawberry Moon to Shadowland, it's an evolution, but it's also very different, right? And it's got, I don't want to say an overarching theme of, it's moody compared to Strawberry Moon. And I say that in a good way though, because I didn't ever once we started doing albums and EPs, and I didn't want to be boxed into one genre because I'm always writing different material, right? And I wanted to be able to expand. So Strawberry Moon, you could definitely relate that to Fleetwood Mac, 70s rock. But I think Shadowland is going almost in a weird direction. It was like we're not constrained. We can write whatever we want at this point, right? So why not do it and get it out there? And it all just came together so cohesively. But it was all around my recovery, which I'm doing PT probably till April. I might have another surgery on the horizon. And for anybody out there who skates, don't skate backwards to show off to your friends on the river trail because concrete hurts. Just
When
a
you
little
say
warning for
when you say skates, you're talking skateboarding,
No,
or
I actually rollerblading.
okay,
It started to pick up again like during the pandemic, and I was like, I love that. That's awesome. Then we were going to Neville Island. Oh, the river trail was freshly paved, but I was, pressing my luck and doing 360s, and I hit a rock. And being a guitar player, you don't want to fall on your wrist, right? And so I'm like, well, I'll just hold my wrist in and go shoulder down. But, that hurts too. So
you just
full pads next time.
you
You'll
just
see
made
me
me
there with a football helmet on.
you just made me flash back to a long time ago. I'm not going to tell you when, but I used to work at Cedar Point, and I was rollerblading in Sandusky, Ohio, and I was coming down this hill, and I hit a rock, and I tried to jump over a grass median because to keep my balance, and I didn't make it, and I was rolling towards Lake Erie. It was not a pretty scene. My friends thought it was hilarious. I did not.
Everybody takes their falls. Sorry, I'm going to turn this off. I don't know what. I was actually recording, and when we're done tonight, I'm going to do that as well. I mentioned I have a backlog of songs I'm trying to catch up on. And this new one, I absolutely love it. Everybody's always asking me what your favorite song is. What's your favorite song? It's always my most recent, always. And I guess because it's fresh, I'm still learning it myself.
Now, you say you have a huge backlog. Do you know how many songs you have that you haven't worked on, haven't recorded yet, I guess is probably where you're at.
Right now, I have around 15 in my head that are definitely I'm going to record and release. I have more than 50 though. I have like binders. I've got my notes in my iPhones filled up with songs. But I know some songs are meant to be, you hold them back for a while. It might not be the right time for me to make that song. And I'm very good at knowing like this is it. I'm going to run with this. If the melody either fits me or like the lyrics, it just fitting me at that point in my life. So yeah, about 15 right now I'm working on, but I have like a boatload.
Very cool. So we have a little more than a minute. I do want to tell everyone to make sure they go to Linktree/Erro Music Official. It's ERRO for those of you that are just listening to radio and not watching the video, because it's been on the video the whole time. But I mentioned early on, it's spelled differently, but I didn't tell you how to spell it. ERRO. So my last question for you, well, I have two. I have to ask my official and unofficial. So the official Build a Scene question is, who's your Dave Grohl? And that means who do you want to go up on stage with and perform one of their original songs?
One of theirs. Oh my. I'm tempted to throw a pop artist out there, but I'm not going to do that to myself. Man, this is tough. The Red Hot Chili Peppers.
My son plays the bass line to not Californication. It's I can't think of it right now. This is what happens when you get old. I know it's Red Hot Chili Peppers, and the song name will come to me later, but I get it. They're I'm gonna throw this out there. Maybe not the best people in the world, but pretty good musicians.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So the other question is, what is the best pizza you've had because you're a musician?
Pizza?
Yep. That's a tough one, right? So it could be like at a recording session, on your way to or from a show. You happen to think up lyrics while you're eating the pizza, anything that relates to being a musician.
When I was just getting started, my friends and I loved Luciano's White Pizza. They were in North Park. There's one in Cranberry Township, I think, still. But their white pizza was the best. And we would go and we would pick it up before practice. because they didn't deliver to us. It was we had to drive there to get it. And when you're younger, you're a teenager, that's like a hassle trying to get a ride or somebody driving there. So, but that was our thing, was Luciano's White Pizza.
Very cool. Hi, Nikki. I want to thank you for hanging out with me tonight. And everyone, make sure you head out to Linktree/Erro Music Official. Do you have any shows coming up that you want to drop before we head off into the evening?
No, nothing. I'm sorry. It's a shoulder injury.
All right. Well, keep an eye out for the new music that she's working on, and make sure once she does have some shows that you head out and check those out. We are at the end of the show, which means I'm going to spin the wheel, and Dressy Entertainment is going to award the name that it selects with 2 tickets to the Jaggers CD release party Sunday, March 15th. It has doors at 4, show at 5 p.m. Tickets range from $32.15 to $43.65. It is at Jurgles Rhythm Grill, which means it is a 21 and over event. We had 2 people sign up for this. Those people are Pamela Showalter and Keith Leydig. I'm going to hit shuffle 2 times and spin, and we are going to see who is going to get those tickets. And the winner is Keith Leydig. Keith, keep an eye on your email, and you will receive an email from me, and then a follow-up email from Dressy Entertainment explaining how you can get the tickets from them. Make sure you join us each and every Monday night on the Pennsylvania Rock Show, 7 p.m. interviews, 10 p.m. radio show, music from the 412.com.